In an effort to understand and recreate his own life, a man constructed an intricate replica of an entire city in his basement. A civilization of actors and sets where he assumed the role of a god, controlling its laws and fate, only to gradually lose control and himself. In a house in Synecdoche, New York, a man awakens to the sound of his daughter singing. His wife is in the kitchen, preparing breakfast and listening to a radio show. He joins the morning routine but feels utterly drained, without energy or motivation. After collecting the mail, he flips through the newspaper, barely noticing his daughter's pleas for attention. Following breakfast, he goes to wash up, but the faucet malfunctions violently, sending a piece flying into his face and causing a painful injury. Seeing the blood, his wife insists he go to the hospital. Doctors stitch him up and refer him to a ophthalmologist, worried by his unusual eyes. On the drive home, he tells his family about further tests but reassures them he'll be fine and that a plumber will fix the faucet. His daughter, curious about the plumber, prompts him to explain pipes like veins, but when she hears blood, she bursts into tears. Later, an ophthalmologist finds nothing wrong and directs him to a neurologist. Life continues at the theater, where he works on a production. A minor accident occurs during rehearsal, lightly injuring an actress but nothing serious. After giving a few directions, he resumes overseeing the rehearsal. Following work, he schedules a neurologist appointment. At home, he notices what seems like blood in his stool. Struggling with health concerns and marital strain, he consents to family therapy. During a session, his wife confesses she has imagined his death as a way to escape their marriage, leaving him deeply shaken. Shortly after, he encounters Hazel, a theater employee who flirts and praises his script. At home, he sees the plumber fixing the faucet. Feeling awkward around him, he quietly uses his wife's studio sink as a bathroom. There, he notices his urine is brownish but keeps it to himself. His wife remains fully absorbed in her work, tasked with completing 2 paintings by tomorrow. Apologizing gently, she tells Caden she won't be able to make it to his premiere. Though clearly disappointed, Caden hides his feelings. At the scheduled time, he arrives at the theater. The auditorium is full, and Hazel is sitting among the audience. After the premiere, while mingling with the cast, Hazel finds him again, expressing admiration for his work and surprised that his wife isn't there. Feeling slightly embarrassed, Caden explains that his wife has an upcoming art exhibition and is overwhelmed with preparations. Hazel attempts to lighten the mood, suggesting they smoke some weed together, but Caden declines, admitting it makes him aggressive. Later that evening at home, Caden finds his wife with a close friend. She admits she's exhausted and regrets not finishing her work or attending the premiere. Proudly, Caden shares how well his work was received, with critics and audience alike praising it. His wife and her friend are genuinely happy for him, hopeful they'll get a chance to see the show. Meanwhile, Hazel visits a neighborhood she's been exploring and finally chooses a house she loves. But there's one significant concern. It's prone to fires. After inspecting the property, she decides both the price and the house itself are perfect. Yet, the thought of dying in a fire or suffocating from smoke weighs heavily on her. Caden's wife, her friend, and his parents eventually attend the premiere. When the curtain falls, the audience gives a standing ovation. Everyone joins in except his wife and her friend. Outside the theater, while the rest of the family buzzes with excitement and praise, Caden faces criticism from those closest to him. The next morning, Caden follows his usual routine. His daughter is eating breakfast, his wife is on the phone with Maria, and he's dealing with another ache. When Adele notices him, she says she's decided to go to Berlin with their daughter, Olive, believing some distance will be better for both of them. Caden isn't happy to hear this. The stress of another upheaval triggers painful blemishes on his skin. Later, he tries to talk to Adele, hoping to understand what's wrong or how he may have disappointed her, but she offers only vague phrases and apologies. Through tears, she asks him to postpone the conversation until she returns from her trip. Left alone, Caden sinks into sadness, watching a commercial where he appears as a happy family man. Seeking a distraction, he starts cleaning the entire house with a toothbrush. At his therapy session, he tries to confront his loneliness. Seeing his distress, the therapist offers to sell him all her books, assuring him they can guide him toward healing. Sometime later, Caden visits the dentist, concerned about his teeth. The dentist examines him, finds nothing obvious, and refers him to a gum specialist for further care. That evening, Caden calls Adele, but the noise from a loud party makes it impossible for her to hear. She asks him to call back later. Just after hanging up, he suffers a seizure, his body convulsing uncontrollably. Somehow, he manages to call an ambulance. Sitting in the hospital, he flips through a magazine and sees an interview with his wife, smiling and radiant. Eventually, the doctor calls him in and explains that he experienced an epileptic seizure and may be losing certain abilities. Treatment is possible, but there's no guarantee it will help. Back at work, Caden runs into Hazel. She flirts again, and he decides to invite her out for coffee. At the cafe, she invites him to her place, assuming he's now single. Though a year has passed since Adele left, Caden feels it's only been a week. Hazel reminds him otherwise. After her words, he agrees, and they head to a house filled with smoke and flames. Inside, she mixes cocktails while continuing to flirt. Their evening stretches into night, but at the last moment, Caden pulls back. He can't give her what she wants. His fragile health won't allow it, and he's still married with a daughter. Hazel is deeply hurt by his refusal. She turns away, tears in her eyes, and asks him to leave. Later, Caden reaches out to her again. His health has declined, but Hazel remains hurt and hesitant to engage. Days blur as he goes through his routine, often listening to old voice messages from Adele updating him about their daughter. One day, he receives a letter announcing that he has been awarded the prestigious 2009 MacArthur Fellowship. At his therapy session, he shares the news with his psychologist, who is genuinely excited and asks how he plans to use the grant. Caden dreams of creating something grand, intricate, and beautiful, a project that truly reflects himself. The MacArthur Fellowship, famously known as the Genius Grant, motivates him to live up to that reputation. Wasting no time, he heads to New York to scout locations for his project. He is shown a massive hangar that once housed a Shakespearean theater. After touring it, Caden knows instantly this is exactly what he needs. He decides to meet Hazel again to share his vision. He plans a large, ambitious project requiring a talented team and offers her the role of his personal assistant. Though she's still angry and unsure, she listens. Over dinner, Caden behaves unusually, guiding her through carefully planned therapeutic exercises. At home, he discovers Olive's diary. One page reveals her favorite color is pink, prompting him to immediately buy a large pink box to send to his daughter, a small but meaningful gesture. Later, Caden holds auditions for his new production. Some actors are familiar faces he's worked with before. He reads them a powerful passage about death. Claire is captivated, impressed by both the concept and Caden's vision. That evening, Hazel and Caden have dinner at a cafe, where Hazel unexpectedly runs into Claire, who had scheduled to meet Caden. He is seated at a nearby table. When Hazel joins him, the encounter with the director's ex-girlfriend feels somewhat tense. To ease the mood, Claire shifts the conversation to her upcoming role, curious about her character. Caden admits he hasn't finalized the details but promises they'll develop it together. Claire then asks about Hazel, still working as a theater cashier, and wonders if she might want to try acting. Caden agrees and promises to discuss the opportunity with Hazel. After dinner, he walks Claire home. Along the way, she confides that her mother passed away just yesterday. He offers condolences and does his best to comfort her. Sometime later, Caden attends the funeral. Their bond deepens, eventually leading to marriage. Caden throws himself into rehearsals for his production, which involves a large cast. He carefully coaches each actor. After work, he returns home to find Claire and their daughter, Ariel, waiting. Claire is visibly upset. She's still acting in the play, but feels frustrated that Caden treats her differently at work than at home. One evening, Caden flips through a magazine and sees a photo of Olive, the first child with a full-body tattoo. Shocked, he becomes determined to find his daughter immediately. Claire tries to calm him, insisting tattoos are common. She turns away and shows the tattoo covering her entire back, but Caden remains unconvinced and leaves anyway. On the plane, he reads a book by his psychologist. Suddenly, he comes across a strange passage in which she writes that she'll always be by his side. Looking toward the next row, he's stunned to see his doctor sitting there. Curious, he asks about the passage, but instead of answering, she tries to seduce him. He resists, continuing to read. He is shocked to find the book describing the very moment they are living. Then, just as things reach a climax, the book abruptly ends. Arriving in Berlin, Caden searches for Olive. He visits his wife's art exhibition, hoping to get an address, but she refuses. Frustrated, he heads to a cafe where Mari finds him. She lives with his wife, her new husband, and Olive. Mari tells him they don't want him around. Furious, Caden insists he has the right to see his daughter, especially since Mari tattooed Olive at age 4, leaving scars. Mari reminds him Olive is nearly 11, but this does little to calm him. In a fit of rage, he lashes out, throwing punches. Somehow, Mari breaks free and runs. Caden chases her. Ducking into an alley, he spots the pink box he had sent Olive. Clutching it, he breaks down in tears. The strain overwhelms him, and he collapses, later rushed to the hospital where he is examined and then sent home. Back at the theater, Caden throws himself into the production once more. Every inch of the massive hangar is filled with sets and equipment for the new show. Claire and Ariel appear in one scene, and Claire doesn't hesitate to express her unhappiness. After work, Caden visits the doctor again due to a strange tremor in his leg. Even after an examination, the doctor cannot provide a definite diagnosis. Sometime later, while walking through New York, Caden runs into Hazel. She looks great, sporting a fresh haircut. She's in town on a short vacation with her husband and kids. While her husband and sons visit a museum, she goes shopping. Caden mentions he also has a daughter, Ariel, but she and Claire live apart from him. Learning where Hazel and her family are staying, he quietly goes there and observes them from a distance. After Hazel, her kids, and her husband leave, he steps onto the shared balcony, ready to jump off the roof. One of the men stops him just in time, preventing a fatal mistake. That night, lying in bed, Caden reads his ex-wife's journal. Adele writes that Marie is a far better father than Caden, describing him as always drunk or sick, and admits she can only feel sorry for him. The words hit hard, prompting deep reflection. The next morning, he goes to Claire and asks if they can live together again, but slips up, mixing up his daughter's names, calling Ariel Olive. Despite this, Claire accepts him, and they rekindle their relationship. One day, Caden learns that his father has passed away after a difficult battle with cancer. He had called for Caden before dying. Caden and his family attend the funeral, say goodbye, and receive condolences from relatives. Meanwhile, Caden's health continues to decline. During the wake, he slips away to the bathroom and tries to call Hazel, but she's not home. Later, he decides to visit her at her burned-out house. Lost and uncertain, he asks her for advice, wishing she could see him the way she once did. He knows he's the one who ruined everything. Hazel feels sympathy for him but cannot fix things. She has a husband she loves, and he must accept that and move on with his life. Feeling crushed, Caden returns home and continues reading his ex-wife's journal. Her entries reveal there was something between her and Marie that went beyond friendship. Walking the city streets with a heavy heart, Caden notices an ad for a dance club featuring a girl with tattoos identical to his daughter's. He enters a private room with a glass partition and sees an adult woman completely covered in tattoos resembling Olive's. Confused, he thinks it's his daughter and tries to get her attention, but she doesn't hear him and continues dancing. His shouting attracts security, who forcibly escort him out. Years later, Caden remains fully immersed in his production. During one rehearsal meeting, the actors wonder when the audience will actually show up. It's been 17 years since rehearsals began, and frustration is mounting. The director understands their disappointment and realizes he needs an actor to play himself, capturing the full weight of his disillusionment and sense of a pointless existence. To help the actor portray him authentically, Caden sits down and writes detailed notes outlining the key moments of his life. Sometime later, Hazel calls, upset that she's been fired for breaking a rule at the Christian school cafeteria. She didn't wash her hands. Her husband had convinced her to take the job despite her not following the faith. Hazel asks if there might be other work, and after consideration, Caden offers her a position as his assistant, which she accepts. When Hazel arrives at the studio, she helps organize auditions for the director's role. One candidate, Sammy, immediately impresses Caden. He flawlessly mimics Caden's speech and mannerisms, even telling Hazel exactly what Caden would be thinking. Impressed, Caden casts Sammy in the role. Sammy quickly becomes Caden's shadow, following him everywhere, observing how he lives, eats, drinks, uses the bathroom, and talks. To ensure Sammy fully embodies the role, Caden suggests he move in with Hazel and live with her. Though hesitant, she agrees. Standing together on the apartment balcony overlooking the miniature city inside the studio, the two men reflect on Adele and their past lives. Later, Caden visits an exhibit of his wife's miniature paintings, carefully studying the collection and pausing at one depicting Adele herself. Afterward, he returns to the apartment, arranged as if Adele truly lives there with her husband. An unmade bed, a note on the table, and a presence felt everywhere. After spending the night, Caden goes back to Claire, who is upset that he was gone all night and demands to know where he was, but he brushes her off. Rehearsals continue in the studio. Sammy's portrayal of Caden is flawless, yet Claire disapproves and demands Sammy be fired. The director cannot understand her objection, as Sammy delivers an excellent performance. During a break, Sammy suggests giving Hazel a role, claiming she could portray Caden's character even better. After a moment's thought, Caden agrees. He finds himself once more at Adele's apartment, spending time as they used to. Before leaving, he scribbles a note to his ex-wife, telling her he's been awarded the MacArthur Fellowship and is working on a new production, one that will be honest, raw, and pure. Rehearsals with Sammy and Claire continue. During one rehearsal, Sammy, playing Caden, confesses that at night he sneaks into Adele's apartment to clean it. Just then, the actress playing Hazel walks onto the set. That's the final straw for Claire. She has had enough and decides to quit the play. But it doesn't end there. She walks out on the real Caden as well, telling him to pack up and leave their actual apartment. Caden follows desperately, but she's already gone. Later, he collects his belongings and says goodbye, but Claire barely acknowledges him. She's fully absorbed in preparing for a new role she was offered outside Caden's theater. Caden throws himself back into his project, determined to create something real, something meaningful, an entire city built from the ground up. Days later, he returns to Adele's apartment, finds a note from her and looks through Olive's things. Hidden among them, he discovers her journal. Inside lies the devastating truth: Olive is dying. The stage set continues to grow, evolving into a fully functioning city with homes, streets, shops, and cafes. It begins to feel disturbingly real. Soon, Caden begins to hallucinate an adult Olive, frail and dying, and finds himself at her side in the hospital, surrounded by machines keeping her alive. She tells him she's dying from an infection caused by her tattoos. Furious, Caden blames Adele and Maria. He spent years searching for Olive, only for them to hide her from him, but Olive defends Maria. She throws his past in his face, his so-called mistakes, his sexuality, everything. She reveals that she went through similar experiences, and Maria was the first to teach her about her own body and self-understanding. Her words only fuel Caden's anger. Olive demands he apologize, not just for leaving, but for abandoning the family to chase a man named Eric. Worn down by the weight of it all, Caden finally apologizes, but Olive rejects it, and within moments she dies. Numb, Caden drifts through an art exhibit and wanders the city he built for the play. The fake streets, homes, and lives feel endless, and he eventually ends up back at Adele's apartment, scrubbing the floors, trapped in his infinite loop. Sammy becomes so absorbed in playing Caden that he can no longer tell where the character ends and his real self begins. He walks the streets, issuing orders to actors and stagehands, completely absorbed in the role, while the real Caden quietly trails behind, observing. At some point, Caden notices something even stranger. Sammy has hired an actor to play Sammy. The whole situation leaves Caden confused and unsettled. Meanwhile, Caden continues pouring himself into his production. He builds new sets, hires more actors, and constantly expands the bizarre world he's created. He searches endlessly for the perfect title for his play, but nothing feels right. One day, he hires a cleaning lady to tend to Adele's apartment. Over time, Caden notices Sammy flirting with the real Hazel, which unsettles him. He tries to reason with Sammy, saying that if he wants to flirt, it should be with the fake Hazel, not the real one. Just then, Caden's phone rings. It's the police. His mother has been killed during a home invasion. Caden attends the funeral, grateful that the fake Hazel comes to support him during such a painful moment, though deep down he wishes the real Hazel had been there. She's too busy. Even when he called her husband, he said she wouldn't be home until late. Later, an actress lets slip that Hazel is having dinner with Sammy. Caden retreats to the bathroom and calls her, but she doesn't answer. After the guests leave, Caden shows the fake Hazel his parents' bedroom, only to be horrified by what he finds. The room is still covered in blood, never cleaned after the tragedy. He makes a bed for the woman in his room and takes the couch in the living room, but she convinces him to stay with her for sex. He doesn't hesitate. Lying beside her, he admits how lonely and lost he feels, unable to explain what's happening to him anymore. The next morning, on their way to work, the woman teases him about drinking too much the night before. At the theater, Sammy continues to fully embody Caden. During rehearsal, the fake Hazel suggests tweaking her character, but the real Hazel shuts it down immediately. creating tension between the two women. Caden sides with the actress and approves the changes. Later, he confronts Hazel, asking what she even sees in Sammy. He tells her directly that Sammy is not right for her. Even Tammy agrees, but Hazel brushes him off. She says Sammy is sweet and uncomplicated, and after everything with her husband, she's tired of being held back. Hearing this, Caden half-jokingly suggests firing the actor who plays Derek. Hazel rolls her eyes, dripping with sarcasm, calling it a romantic gesture. But if Caden really wants to help, she says he should fire Tammy, the actress playing her. Hazel insists that Tammy looks nothing like her and doesn't understand the role at all. Cadence is thrown off by Hazel's reaction. In a moment of honesty, he admits he's been sleeping with the fake Hazel. The confession devastates Hazel. Trying to repair the situation, Caden finally confesses his feelings for her, and to his surprise, she feels the same way. They share a kiss, but the moment is shattered when Sammy sees them. Crushed by Hazel's rejection and unable to cope with the pain, Sammy climbs to a dangerous height and throws himself off, ending his life in front of everyone. After the real funeral, Caden organizes a symbolic one for the fake Sammy in the theater town. After rehearsal, Hazel suggests he move in with her in the burning house. He packs his things, and at last, they begin living together as they should have back in their youth. One night, Caden finally shares the title of his play with her. After all this time, he's found it, but their happiness is short-lived. Soon after, Hazel dies, her lungs failing from constant carbon monoxide exposure. Crushed by grief, Caden sends her voice messages, unable to accept she's really gone. Eventually, he pulls himself together and returns to working on the play, clinging to the hope he'll one day finish it. As rehearsals continue, Caden asks his assistant to find replacements for both Caden and Hazel. An actress originally cast as the janitor in Adele's apartment overhears him. She confesses she desperately wants to audition for the role of Caden, an unconventional choice. But she believes she understands him better than anyone. Cadence is already dead, she says softly. He exists somewhere between paralysis and resistance. His whole life revolves around time, but he's lost in it. Until recently, he fought to find meaning, but now he's stuck. Her words strike a nerve. Deeply moved, Caden gives her a chance. She steps in as the new director, confidently taking control of the entire project. Watching her work, Caden decides not to intervene. Instead, he quietly observes, listening to a raw, heartbreaking monologue from one of the actors. For the first time in a while, he likes what he sees. Later, he confesses to the new director that his ideas have run dry. She offers to take over completely so he can rest and recharge. His assistant agrees, assuring him a break will do him good. Reluctantly, Caden accepts, though he hates the thought of doing nothing. That's when she suggests he take the role of the janitor, small, low pressure, and not demanding much energy. After considering it, he agrees. Besides, there's a strange comfort in cleaning. Now Caden is just an actor, cleaning his ex-wife's apartment. One day, an actress hands him an earpiece, and as soon as he puts it in, he hears the voice of the new Caden. From now on, she will guide him, and he must follow every instruction. Over time, the real Caden's health deteriorates. He barely leaves his bed, takes countless medications, and has his heart constantly monitored. The voice in his ear reminds him of the important things in his life, and of her. She recalls being a little girl, going on a picnic with her mother, and promising she would return one day with her own daughter. Her words stir Caden's memories of Olive and Adele. One day, the director's voice instructs him to pick up a note from the nightstand. It reads that Adele passed away the night before from lung cancer. The voice urges him to remember posing for his wife, how she called him handsome, and how much he misses her now. Then she tells him to get up. Looking around, he notices a photo of the director's mother. Later, Caden jolts awake to a loud noise. In the hallway, he runs into one of the actresses, who tells him the elevator is broken. His legs shaking, he walks down from the 30th floor. Outside, the town is in ruins. The sets have collapsed, shops and cafes are closed, and all the actors are dead. As he walks down the street, the voice in his ear speaks softly but firmly, reminding him that everything he once valued, dreams, hopes, love, is gone. His life has lost meaning and shape, and he is no different from anyone else, dissolving into the endless dream of loneliness, loss, and oblivion. Spotting a golf cart, he gets in and drives aimlessly. On one street, he sees the silhouette of a woman. Looking around the empty road, he asks where everyone is. Calmly, she says most are dead and the rest have left. Feeling drained and alone, Caden asks if she'll sit with him for a moment. They sit together on an old couch nearby, and as they talk, he realizes she looks familiar. She explains she played the mother in Ellen's dream. He mentions she looks older than he remembers, and under the guidance of the voice in his ear, quickly apologizes, not wanting to offend her. Reflecting on life, Caden says the apartments are filled with strangers' dreams and thoughts he'll never know. He admits he never took his daughter on the promised picnic and feels he let her down. The woman comforts him, saying she's proud of him. The voice in his ear suggests he ask if he can lay his head on her shoulder. He does. She agrees, and he quietly tells her he loves her. She replies that she loves him too. Suddenly, Caden feels he finally knows how to finish his play. A new idea forms, but the voice in the earpiece interrupts with one final stage direction.